guys, so nice to see you. I hope you all had a really great weekend. Welcome back to my channel AbFab. My name is Denise and my channel is all about makeup and makeup review. If you've seen the thumbnail, like I always say, then you know exactly what this video is about. This video is about a month overdue, as all my girlfriends did this video, but I still kept it in my video idea notebook and made sure to do it. I was tagged by my girlfriend JD, and I'm going to leave her channel and her video of this tag down below. So this is the eyeshadow palette tag, and if you're interested in seeing what the 10 questions are and my choices or answers to those 10 questions, then just continue watching this video. Alright, so question number 1 in this eyeshadow palette tag is, what is the best palette for beginners? This one by Kat Von D, and this is the Shade and Light palette. This was a cult classic when it came out, and really it was kind of, I think, for a lot of reasons why it was a cult classic. It was basically a 3-set quads in neutral, cool, and warm that had these instructional cards that were fantastic, that basically whichever color tone you wore, you could take that quad set from daytime to evening look. And it was so easy, and these shadows were so soft and buttery and blendable, and they just looked great for every day. And that's why I picked the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Contour palette as the best eyeshadow palette for beginners. Alright, so question number 2 is, what is your idea of the best drugstore palettes? Now, this was hard because there is really a lot of really great eyeshadow palettes in the drugstore, but I was looking for some that had good, you know, pigment to them and lasted throughout the day, and that had to be given to the Milani. This was their 6-pan eyeshadows. I bought 2 out of the 5. These were the everyday basics, this one in Earthy Elements and this one in Plum Basics. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, it is just the best drugstore palette because these eyeshadows are every bit as pigmented as the high-end ones, and I just love how well they were so curated, the colors. And again, it just takes you from just a very simple, nice look for the daytime up to evening elegance, all in one palette. And like I said, great wear to them, great blendability. They were really, really great eyeshadows, and so travel friendly as well for the price. And drugstore, like I always say, when they're this good, you have to scream it from the rooftops. The Milani Everyday Basic eyeshadow palettes are just amazing. Question number 3, best palette for work. I would have to say for me, my best palette for work had to be this one here, which was the Naked 3 by Urban Decay. This was the Rose Gold palette, and the reason why it was so good for me was because it is all of the pinky nudes and the soft taupes and browns that just look so complimentary and just kind of ease of use. They are blendable, they are buttery, they are pigmented, and they stay on all day long. And there was nothing in there that really screamed that you were overdone or over made up. It was just a very nice professional looking makeup, and certainly for me working in the hospital, it worked out perfect. You can see I certainly favored the lightest of these shades, and then the darkest shades down here, of course, I had kind of those shades and other eyeshadow palettes as well. But I love this palette. Definitely if you're a makeup junkie, then you know the Naked 3 palettes were just some of those palettes that you had to have. I loved it so much. I bought one for my mom, and I think she's literally hit pan on most of them. Okay, what is the best palette and play with color? Well, I would have to give that one up to this amazing eyeshadow palette. Sadly, I am not so adventurous with color, but doesn't mean that I don't love beautiful, bright eyeshadow palettes, and this one was no exception. This is the Urban Decay Vice 3 eyeshadow palette. I received it as a Christmas gift. It had an amazing big mirror, but just look at all of those beautiful, beautiful satin and shimmer intense eyeshadow colors, some of them absolutely beautiful, but I did like to use a couple of them just on the outside third of the eye to give the eye a little pop, and certainly was a palette that I would go to for color inspiration. What was the palette that was the best bang for your buck? Have to give that one to Modern Renaissance by Anastasia of Beverly Hills, and the reason why was because she's put out a number of eyeshadow palettes now, but this one really sort of kicked it off, I think, for Anastasia of Beverly Hills, because it just appealed to everybody and every skin tone. And it's funny that it does because it is such a warm palette. This is definitely a cult classic, definitely a must if you are a makeup junkie like myself. This is my second eyeshadow palette by ABH Modern Renaissance. I absolutely love it. I would definitely say because I can get every type of look from, again, a daytime, everyday to evening elegance, all in one step, all in one curated, beautiful, buttery and pigmented and blendable eyeshadows that never ever disappointed. Number 6, what's the best palette for my eye color? Again, I'm gonna have to give that to Modern Renaissance by ABH, and the reason why is because I am obviously fair-skinned, blonde hair, blue eyes, but blue eyes really pop when you use these browns and goldens with a little bit of orange, and the taupes, they really make your blue eyes pop. If you have bronze or copper shades at home, anything with a little bit of orange or warmth to it, and you put that around blue eyes, wow, it really makes them stand out. So I'm definitely giving the ABH Modern Renaissance for blue eyes. What is the best palette for my skin tone? I would have to say that again will have to go to Urban Decay, the Naked 3 palette, just because I am so fair-skinned. If I was going to go with a palette that matched my skin tone, then certainly this one would suffice, kind of at the paler end of the color wheel and very soft. So I would have to say that those definitely go with my color tone. All in one palette. Now, I think this question was meant for the palette that really has a little bit of everything. It has highlighter and bronzers, and it has blushes and eyeshadows. Well, I don't have that, so I'm going to just stick again with the eyeshadow palettes and say the best all-in-one that had the most beautiful color story, the most beautiful buttery and intense colors that you really can get a full look on, had to go to the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I absolutely love this. What can I say? These colors are absolutely gorgeous. Again, you can see by some of these colors that the really colorful ones are barely touched, and that's because in my regular work as a working gal, I am out there and I'm just using very soft and subdued eyeshadow colors. But when I want to look for some really cool evening elegant looks, I want to pick up this palette and I want to go with that. And for that reason, I say this palette has everything. It has just the nice soft neutrals, and then you can go up here onto this other half of the palette and you can get some real beautiful pops and real intense dramatic eye looks, all with the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. Travel palettes. Well, I kind of looked at a whole bunch of the palettes that I had, but I gave this actually to 2 eyeshadow palettes. The first one I got in one of those FabFitFun boxes, and this is by RealHer, and it's the RealHer 2 palette. I loved it. It is a cardboard eyeshadow palette with magnetic lock. It has a beautiful big mirror, and then it has these great, beautiful, soft satin with some mica in them to give you this everyday look. Again, you can do a full look that goes from day to evening. I've often thrown this in my suitcase when we've flown away to visit or to go on a trip, and I absolutely love it. The best part about the RealHer 2 palettes is that they are all natural. They are cruelty, paraben free, and vegan free. just an amazing palette. And the next travel palette I gave that sort of classification to was this tiny little by Tarte. It is the Tartelette Tease palette. Great little mirror. Again, cardboard with the magnetic closure. But look at these lovely sort of neutrals for, you know, your transition. And then you have a little shimmer for the actual eyelid and a little pop of color at the end. And they're Tarte, so what can I say? And so wearable and so blendable, and just this compact little tiny palette. It was the real perfect one for not just suitcases, but for throwing it in your crossbody bag, your clutch, your backpack, or little glove box in your car. These were the best. One palette that I would not recommend, and well, obviously I don't have the one palette I would not recommend. That was actually by Anastasia of Beverly Hills, and that was the Subculture palette. If you know anything about makeup, you know that there was a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about just how those colors just they broke apart. They didn't stay in their pans. They fell out. They were chalky and dusty, and the color story just generally didn't appeal to me. Those curated colors didn't speak to me. They certainly weren't up my alley. So I would have to say, of all of the palettes that had so much buzz about them, I would probably not be purchasing the Anastasia of Beverly Hills Subculture palette. Well, that is it. That is the eyeshadow palette tag. And again, if you're new to the Ab Fab channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification, and that way you'll be kept abreast of when I upload my videos, which is usually once a week if my work schedule permits. Until next week, as I always say to you at the end of all my videos, I hope as always that you have an absolutely fabulous week. Bye everybody. Take care.